Ever had a friend or family member say, "Hey, would you mind co-signing this loan for me?" And your brain immediately goes, "Wait, what exactly am I agreeing to here?" Well, today we're breaking it all down. How co-signing in Canada works, why people need it, the risks, the benefits, and most importantly, how to protect yourself if you ever say yes. So grab a coffee. This is going to be a good one. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Qatar, a Canadian realtor who helps people navigate home buying, financing, and all the fun stuff that comes in real estate. If you've ever been asked to co-sign or you've thought about asking someone to co-sign, this video is for you. So first things first, what is co-signing? So let's start with the basics. Like co-signing means you're agreeing to taking legal responsibility for someone else's loan. That could be a mortgage, car loan, student loan, or even credit card in some cases. The most common example is parents co-signing a mortgage for their kids who can't qualify a loan. Here's the kicker. A- In Canada, a co-signer is liable for whatever they are signing for, which basically means if the borrower doesn't pay, the lender can come after you or both of you for the entire amount, not half, not part, the whole thing. So, yeah, it's not just a favor, it's a serious financial commitment. Okay, so why would someone ever need a cosigner in the first place? And here are the five big reasons. First is just not enough income. It's super common in cities like Toronto or Vancouver. For example, let's say someone makes about $60,000, but the home is worth 700K. The math just doesn't work. Lenders are going to use GDS, which is 35%, and TDS, that is 42% ratio to calculate the affordability. So a cosigner's income can push those ratios into the yes zone. Okay. Another one is poor credit or no credit history. So a lender wants to see a credit score of like 680 plus for mortgage with less than 20% down. And if you knew or you missed a payment before, the banks might decline you or offer terrible terms. A co-signer with a strong credit can save the deal. Another reason is self-employed borrowers. Now, banks don't love irregular income and they want to see 2 years of tax returns and a notice of assessments. This is something very important. A lot of times I see people who are self-employed, what they'll do is they'll go to the accountant and say, I don't want to pay taxes. And then either by hook or by crook or whatever, their gross income is brought down significantly. And then uh, you know, then they go to the bank and they ask for a loan and then they get denied. So I'll give you an example. Let's say your gross income was 150K and then your net was 45K. That's what you claim. You take 45K to a lender, they're going to look at it and say, well, sorry, but you earned 45,000 because you didn't pay taxes on 150, you pay taxes on 45. So if you have someone who's salaried, that kind of thing can add some sort of stability to that deal. And another common reason is if you're newcomer to Canada, like if you're new, there's no credit history, there's no job history, you're maybe on a temporary status. That all kind of like adds up to lender hesitation. And a Canadian cosigner with established credit and income can open some doors. And of course, finally, you do get better terms sometimes. Sometimes you can qualify a loan, but the terms aren't that great. Higher rates, B lenders, or extra insurances. Adding a cosigner can mean, lowering interest rate or maybe a higher loan amount that you can get, avoiding extra insurance premiums, all this fun stuff. So, what are the advantages of co-signing? Basically just helping someone you care about. It'll build your credit for the borrowers and access better loan and terms. And you're not handing over cash, it's just credit. But that's where all the pros end. This is something you've got to really understand that the pros usually are outweighed by the cons. And if you do decide to do something like that, Better make sure it's either family or someone who you really trust. So let's talk about some of the cons of co-signing. So first off, you're legally responsible if they default, and it will affect your debt ratio. So if you, let's say, buy a house and then you want to, you know, co-sign for someone, and then later on you want to buy a house, then they're going to factor in those payments as well, and then you might not get a big enough loan. Another reason is missed payments or late payments. Like if that happens, your credit is going to get affected. And if it was a family or friends who you wanted to help, and if they don't make the payments, your relationships are definitely going south. And the worst part is you might not even know if the payments are being missed unless it's too late. And that's kind of like true because once you sign the papers, you're expecting them to make the payments. But what if they don't make the payments and 6 months later you get a document from the bank and say like you're 6 months behind? Like that's a serious thing. So if you do decide to do it, then how should you protect yourself? So here's a few things you can consider to protect yourself when you're going to do co-signing. First off, get it in writing. Okay, make a legal agreement with the borrower. Another thing, get access, ask to be notified if there's missed payment, or get a view only access to the account. And check regularly, stay in loop with monthly check-ins, and of course, for all of this, consult a lawyer. For big commitments like mortgage, always get professional advice. Don't just leave it on faith and hope. You know, it's not going to be helpful. And in the end, I would say co-signing can be a powerful tool, but with great powers, you have to have some great financial responsibility. And if thinking of doing it or asking someone else to make sure you know the risks, ask questions, and protect yourself. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss my next video. Got a co-signer story or question? Drop in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.